There are four key characteristics when it comes to the psychology of a leader that once you come to know these, understand these, and embody these characteristics, you begin to align more with this heart centered nature of yourself, which allows you to get in more flow, more productivity, more intentionality, and more strategic growth. So, listen to this episode and we're going to break down those four key characteristics and more. So, stay tuned. I'm Adam Kadu, and it's time to master the art of real heart alignment, where you live, work, and play from your personal power as energy aligns, your gifts flow, and life simply works. These life-changing conversations are designed to help you to see what you're not seeing, hear what you're not hearing, and to be who you're not being, as the world needs more heart-centered leaders now more than ever. Are you ready to say no to living a half-hearted life and say yes instead to boldly living from a place of real heart alignment? Welcome to the Adam Kadu podcast. What is up? What is up? Going live again. How are we today? In this quick little live I'm doing here, I wanted to have a conversation about leadership. And initially, the four key characteristics that it takes to be a more aligned, more heart-centered, more caring and compassionate leader in today's age. And there was this conversation that I had with a friend of mine not too long ago where leadership just kind of came on my radar. I was a young little kid. I think I was in first grade. My parents' first ever teacher-parent conversation with the teacher. My mom came home and she shared some things with what the teacher had shared. And one of the things she shared was that the teacher saw me as a leader out on the playground. Like, I love my sports. I love interacting. I love playing as a team. And for me, it was just like that little conversation was like, wow, it just allowed me to see how things shape and how sometimes people will look to others for advice or to take that front position. And it allowed me just from an early age to see the world from this standpoint of like who is leading here, and also the standpoint of like what does it take to lead something. And like I said, there's four key characteristics that I've identified that allows you to be more heart-centered and more aligned leader. And I'm going to get to those in a second. But first, I will say, in the space we're in and the work that we're doing, when it comes to leading, when it comes to growing a business primarily, if we're not leading ourselves in a way and conducting ourselves in a way where others want to follow us, then that's the absolute first place to look. Because I know sometimes leadership can be seen as like, I got it all figured out. Look at me. I'm the expert. I know more than you. You guys have to follow me. And there's this whole wave of bro marketing and also just like this forceful type of energy online today that people kind of buy into the idea that if you're demanding, if you are direct, if you're strong, if you're hard charging, that's who people follow. But that's absolutely not the case in all instances. And it's usually the people who have more deep-rooted insecurities that are following these hard-charging peeps because they would love to see themselves as this hard-charging person. But what happens a lot of times is that's misaligned for them. That is not them. That is somebody else. And even the hard-charging peeps sometimes, that's not them. And that's why at times you'll feel so disconnected or basically pushed away from these peeps that are just take charge. I got it all figured out. Listen to me. I'm the man. I'm the person. I'm the woman. And we're not in alignment. And when we're not in alignment, you know, you might have the peeps that follow you, but are those your ideal peeps? Are those the peeps that you're actually here to help? Are those the peeps that you're just attracting based off this mask and this facade that you put on? And so it's a big conversation, but today we're going to talk a little bit more about the psychology of leadership, because leadership in its essence is a big conversation. And when I first started cracking down on leadership, and as I mentioned in my previous video, to me, sales and leadership, they're one and the same. They go hand in hand. Because essentially, if you're leading somebody, you are selling them on an idea or selling them on a way of being and living that they buy into. And it's a tough conversation to accept for a lot of people because sales is such a nasty word for people. It's like, I don't want to sell people on this. Well, let's not call it sales. Let's call it leadership. Let's call it influence. But selling, leading, influencing is cut from the same cloth. It's very similar. And there's 4 things. So you might want to write these down because this is powerful. When you really grasp this and check in with yourself throughout the day to make sure that you are embodying these, I promise you, you'll start to stand up a little taller, not from this place of ego or I need to be seen, but of confidence. You'll stand a little taller. You'll take more bold actions. You'll feel more aligned. You'll feel more fluid and in flow throughout your day. And so when you can embody these and really get close to these, you'll feel a shift inside of you. And that's essentially all that we want. That's like the experience of this world. We want these shifts inside of us so we can feel a certain way. So we can show up in a certain way and express ourselves in a certain way. And when we're not expressing ourselves, we're chipping away at our self-esteem and our confidence, and we're taking a step back versus taking a step forward. Because when stuff hits the fan, like it did in 2020 and numerous occasions throughout life, I mean, it happens on a daily basis. Sometimes people are like, who's taking charge? And if you're this person too, that's like, who's taking charge? When you have the expertise, when you have the knowing, when you have the life skills and the experience to help people with whatever they need to, work on or embody or do at the time, then man, this world stays stuck. We don't grow as much. The peeps that you're here to help stay stuck, and they're not helping the people that they're here to help. I really see it as like each and every one of us, if we are so in our self-importance and how we look to where we're not showing up and we're staying stuck and we're in our pity parties and we're in our heads and we're just spinning ourselves out with overwhelm and procrastination and perfectionism and all the stuff, it's such a great disservice to everyone, to future generations, to everyone on this planet, because we're all in this together. We're all feeding off each other. There's so many instances where somebody said something to you where they might have needed to work from courage to say it, and it had a huge aha epiphany with you. And there's been certain times where you've said something or showed up or demonstrated something for somebody else, and they got so much out of it, and it shifted their lives. But the more people are holding back, the more this world stays stuck. And the more this world stays stuck, the more stress and darkness we have. And so let's shine our lights. Let's open up. And so key characteristic number 1, opening up your heart and being compassionate. So write that down if you're going to take a little notes on this. Compassion. To care deeply for the lives of others, the life of yourself, to care deeply for this world, to care deeply for evolution and the betterment of your brothers and sisters in this world. So actually caring and being very clear also in like the people that you're here to help. You don't need to know the niche and the idea and the mission statement and the elevator pitch and all that stuff so much. I mean, yes, those are good exercises if you know what you're doing. But for me, it's like feel into and start to sense the person that you're here to help. What kind of pain are they in? What are they experiencing? Because as leaders, heart-centered leaders, we are so much better at sensing and feeling into things than thinking ourselves into things. And this is where we stay stuck. And this is why I know so many people stopped doing the business that they loved the last few years, because they were stuck in their head. When you're in your head, you're dead. And so when you can start to have compassion for this person and just feel what they're going through, then you can start to connect deeper and you can have this moment of clarity of understanding what their problem is. You can reverse engineer it and work backwards. So number 1 is compassion. Number 2 is conviction. Knowing and trusting that the work you're here to do, it freaking matters. This isn't something where like, oh, well, I could do this and, the world won't change at all. It's like, no, but what if you did dive in fully, knowing that the work you do matters, that you change lives, and trusting fully in yourself, having this conviction to know that you know how to help people. This deep trust, this unshakable trust. And I get it. Sometimes we get into these thoughts of what if I can't help this person? What if that? What if the other thing. And that's actually a good thing that you have those thoughts, right? They're going to come up. They come up with everybody, unless you're a, crazy person that literally doesn't care about other people, and you're not that. So there's even studies about this that show it's like the type of people who are kind-hearted, who care about others, they are going to have these thoughts and considerations. And the people who don't care about others, they have that thought. So for you to have a thought, that's a good thing. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And so that's actually a good thing. But also, if you feed that narrative and you spend a lot of time there and you really start second guessing yourself, then you're losing your conviction. You're losing your pointedness. You're losing your strength. You're losing your personal power. So have this conviction in your heart, this inner knowing, this solidness that says the work I'm here to do matters. I change lives. And I have the ability to change lives right where I stand, right here and right now today. Conviction. Also, there's this element of the third one is connection. So you could have compassion. You can feel for other people. You can be convinced in your heart that your work matters and you're here to change lives. But if you're not actually able to connect with people, to build rapport, to have these interactions to where I see you, you see me. And if you're not feeling connected in your life, if you feel like you're on an island and nobody understands what you're doing and you have no support at home and you have no support with your friends or your family and you have nobody on your team that's really supporting you and holding you down, do you really feel like you're nailing the psychology of a leader and being an aligned leader without being connected? But here's the thing, like this was like a huge breakthrough for me in the last year. Is like you have to allow yourself to be supported and to feel connected. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, we went out on this journey for a reason. We wanted to do things our certain way. And also at times we want to box people out and, make all the decisions and blaze a trail ourselves. So it's like kind of like this lone wolf mentality. But you got to start seeing the wolf as the pack, and you see the pack as the wolf. That essentially means the people in your lives, you have to see them as one with you, and you have to see yourself as one with them in order to feel much stronger. So we've got compassion, we got conviction, we got connection, and this last piece is communication. Because we could feel connected with somebody, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to know what we know and think how we think. We could have compassion, we could care deeply for them, we could have conviction that the work we're here to do matters and we're here to change lives. But without the ability to communicate in a way where people understand what's going on inside your mind and are enrolled in your vision, without conveying your message in a way that absolutely lands with people, they get it, they understand it, they know the consequences of it, they know the great benefit of it. Without communication, this all falls apart. And communication is so huge. And there was a point in time early on where I just had so much to say, so much I wanted to do. I wanted to do so many things. I had a huge message, huge heart that I was just talking about so much, casting this wide net. Hopefully somebody out there would hear something that would make them want to work with me. And it got to a point where it was just like, that was not landing. People would actually reach out to me like, I love your heart. I love, what you're up to, but what do you do? How do you help people? Like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But when you can communicate and really do your absolute best to convey your message, your offers, your value in a way where people have no discrepancy, they are very clear on how you help people, the value, the offer, it makes life and business so much easier. And I found that in having a huge heart, huge message, when I wasn't doing my best to like work this out in advance, instead of just like I was freestyling and just spitballing, I was rapping. But when I started working inside certain frameworks, diagrams, It allowed my message to be more clear, more solid, more whole, and so much easier to deliver. And that changed the game for me. And that was just for my own understanding of how to, take this huge message, this moving pieces of all these things I wanted to convey to people and to help people with, and to put it down on paper where I could physically see it. Then I realized if I have so much awareness and clarity off of physically seeing it, what happens when I can take these frameworks and start to demonstrate it to my audience or people that I come across or people that come to my webinars or even people that sit with me on sales conversations, sales calls. And so when I started introducing these concepts and breaking information down in a way where I was using frameworks, my conversions went through the roof. I no longer felt like I was selling and pushing and trying to convince people, and I no longer felt like I had so many objections to handle. Selling in business became so much more fun. And usually it's the heart-centered leaders that are more visual, right? Even though for a long time I wasn't giving myself enough credit for how visual I am, now I can look at something and get a grasp for it and feel it, and I realize now how visual I am. And so there's so much goodness that comes when you can master your message through putting a framework together. And so that's essentially what we're going to be doing next Thursday, September 19th at 2 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to be showing you the 3 main frameworks that I use in any presentation that I have today. I train my clients and my students on this because it makes selling so much easier, especially on a presentation, a webinar, a workshop, whatever the case may be, especially on sales calls. I don't use all 3 frameworks on sales calls, but there's one in specific that I do use on sales calls. And it just allows for so much more clarity, so much more understanding. So that way we can get to the root of the objections and they're not lost in this, like, this all sounds good, but I just don't see how this comes together. And then you're like, well, how else do I explain it? Use some frameworks, slow it down for them, connect the dots, and demonstrate it out so they can see it unfold before their very eyes, so they can watch it. It allows for so much more retainment of information versus just spraying and praying. Just telling them being a fire hose, telling them all you got. Hopefully they see something in there that they want to buy. And so yet again, next Thursday, we're going to be doing that. So I have included a link on this video here to make sure that you can get access to that and be on live for that, because this is going to be a workshop environment where we're actually going to create these together. I'm going to be answering some questions, pulling some people on some hot seats, having a lot of fun. And so I have more to come, but I want to stay focused on this visual selling framework workshop right now. And if you feel anybody would benefit from this, anybody that you know would benefit from this, invite them in the group, send them the link. You can send them the link. I'd be happy for you to do that, because let's get more people involved. This is a no pitch training. There's no pitch, no offers. This is just something that had a huge, profound impact on me. And I really want to, more than anything, get you back in the game. If you're starting to kind of check out, if you're starting to, have other ideas about business. I've talked to so many people in the last few weeks, and a lot of people said they were up to big things. They were crushing it. They were doing well. They've just kind of like pivoted and, doing something else, because I know things got hard for a bit. There were so many new entrepreneurs that came on the scene in 2020. 2020 was like a gold rush for a lot of people. It's like, this works, business works. And then 2021, it's just like, there's so many people, so many new entrepreneurs, so much more competition, so much more noise, so much more confusion than ever before. But there's so many people over the last few years that have just died off. And it's the ripe time. The fruit is ripe. It's more for the picking now. And it's those who have stayed in the game and to continue to hone their craft and to not give up when things got hard. Those are the people that are really going to see some profound changes and growth in their business moving forward. I bet my bottom dollar on that. So I can't see the comments. I will jump off this video. If you need anything from me, have any questions, let me know. But yeah, let's get on this workshop training September 19th on a Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time. Workshop your frameworks, your visual frameworks, so you can not only have them for yourself, better understanding of who you're speaking to, how to speak to people, but also you can start to demonstrate them and convey your message in a way that lands with people. It locks in their brain and in their heart. So even after you presented your offer, it's so clear with them. It's there. It's with them. It's real. They can see it. They can feel it. They can sense it. So let's start communicating in a way where we can shift and shape people to a new direction in their lives that leads them to want to work with you and want to buy. So I'll leave it at that. Much love. More to come. Can't wait to jam with you next Thursday. So yeah, the link is around this video. So I'll see you soon.